We saw in the previous episode of this video series how Genesis blundered in naming whales as part of the creation of creatures God forms in the sea in the biblical narrative. Whales are mammals, evolved from land animals, which the Genesis account has not yet placed upon the dry earth. But this alone does not sink the fifth day of creation. The Genesis author also specifically mentions birds as having been created this day. And again he has the entire sequence of biological evolution upside down and backwards. In the last few decades, modern science has found a link between dinosaurs and birds. Indeed, for many years, people believed dinosaurs to have died out millions of years ago. However, recent discoveries in paleontology, comparative anatomy, biology, and other fields of science have shown us this assumption is not true. Not all the dinosaurs died out. Some, in fact millions upon millions of them, still live among us today. The birds. Birds are descended from dinosaurs and are, in fact, merely modern dinosaurs.
The joys of bird watching. Although right now it's not birds that I'm looking for. In fact, I'm in pursuit of something a great deal more elusive. Dinosaurs. In particular, I'm going to introduce you to a two-legged meat-eater called Velociraptor. In the movie Jurassic Park, Velociraptor was depicted as 6 foot tall and with a vicious claw that could literally tear out its victim's guts. And from then on, it's been stuck with a pretty evil reputation. But how much of this is really true? Well, not very much, as it happens. Now, the fact that I'm a bird watcher is rather appropriate when it comes to studying Velociraptor because, and this might come as a bit of a surprise, Velociraptor had feathers. In fact, Velociraptor was only 2.5 feet tall. And it looked very much like a bird. Which perhaps isn't that surprising because scientists now agree that birds were descended from dinosaurs. It all becomes pretty obvious when you look closely at the fossil bones. And as a matter of fact, a complete Velociraptor skeleton has never ever been found, and there's only been one that was nearly complete. Nevertheless, we have assembled our jigsaw, and here it is. Not a single piece missing, the complete Velociraptor. So, what can these bones tell us? Look at these long front limbs, much like wings, and it's got hollow bones, only found on dinosaurs and birds. And look, a wishbone. Again, only on dinosaurs and birds. And look at those feet. What about those feet? They're much more like talons, aren't they? Yeah. Like you'd see on a bird of prey, which is, of course, also known as a raptor. As a bird watcher, I can see quite a few similarities to birds. But dinosaur experts can spot even more. Time to visit a scientist. Phil Manning is in charge of dinosaur fossils at the Museum of Manchester. Phil and I have something in common. Birds. Which is why he's invited me over to his house to eat one.
Look at the arm. Now notice I didn't say wing, because long ago in this guy's evolutionary history, this was, in fact, its arm.
Yes.
And you can still see the hand here. What we call the wing on a bird today, this is the hand.
Yeah.
You can still see a finger there.
Absolutely.
His end of his finger just fell off. So there is a claw.
The claw goes on the end.
Yeah, that goes on there.
Yeah.
It has still a joint.
Yeah.
But I've got something else that I think will absolutely convince you that this is a dinosaur.
Right.
Let me go and get it for you. You'll like this. You don't have to eat this bit.
It's the bit that isn't on here then. What is it, the head?
Forgive me for not cooking these, but...
That's the best bit.
Well, maybe. take your foot. Just look at that. It's a dinosaur's foot. If you look at the structure of the bones, the number of bones, their arrangement, what they look like, they are bang on for many types of predatory dinosaur. Another thing that jumps out at you linking birds and predatory dinosaurs is when you just look at the form of the scales on the feet, because they gently change into these downy feathers before they become the true feathers that we all know and love in birds.
Yes.
Because feathers are just highly evolved scales.
So, Phil has confirmed what I actually suspected, that we can learn a lot about dinosaurs by looking at birds. But feathery dinosaurs, I mean, it still doesn't seem right, does it? I mean, where's the evidence? It came from China. In 1986, fossil hunters discovered an extraordinary fossil of a small predatory dinosaur. Every detail of its body had been left behind as indentations in the rock. When they looked closely, they could see a dark line running from head to tail along its back. And the incredible truth dawned on them. This dinosaur was covered in feathers. In fact, there were only little feathers, rather like these. Downy, I suppose, would be the right word. No good for flying, these, but very good for keeping warm. But even better, only 4 years ago, and from China again, the discovery of Dave, the fuzzy raptor. And he had feathers, which were much more impressive, more like this one. And he was covered in these much more sophisticated feathers from head to toe. So, it seems the raptor family did have feathers, and that of course includes our star Velociraptor. From just a few fossils, scientists can be pretty certain what Velociraptor looked like. Right then, let's put the flesh on the bones. Okay, first, the muscles. Next, the skin. Now, what? Is it going to be scales? No, the feathers. And there we are, a dead ringer for an ancient turkey. Except I wouldn't fancy trying to stuff it.
But in order to get modern dinosaurs, the birds, there had to have been previous dinosaurs. And as the Genesis author asserts, no land animals had yet to be formed upon the dry land. They were not to come until the sun set and rose again. At every turn, in every assertion, in every detail, Genesis got the true story of creation wrong. But what of those who believe the divine inspiration of the text actually meant tucking secret codes and clues into the narrative for later discovery by more scientifically sophisticated readers? What do they have to say about day 5 of the Genesis creation story?